Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. I took my owl punch and created this cute little interactive card. And before I show you how to do it, I'm going to show you actually how this works. So the owl sits on top and actually closes the card. You twist it to the left and then it opens and then you can see the inside and it turns the other way. So you have to turn the owl to open the card, and so you can put it back and it really holds it in place pretty well. There you have it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this new paper by Stampin' Up. It's got a different core. It's called Coordinations. I'll have a link to it on my blog. And I'm using this Tim Holtz embossing folder, and I'm just doing it 2 times to extend out all the way. And I just trimmed it to 5 1/4 by 4 1/2, and I'm going to take a sanding block and I'm going to sand it up so that the core of the paper, which is the inside of the paper, which in this case is a different color, is now showing up. I'm going to mark where my hole is going to go, and it's 7/8 of an inch from the bottom and 1/2 from the side. And then the entire box is going to be 1 7/8. So it's 1 7/8 long and 1 1/4 high, and that's enough to fit the owl. I'm going to do the same thing with this white, which is going to create my border around the box. Again, 1 7/8. And then I'm going to measure a 1/4 inch border, and then I'm going to trim it out. And here I'm just drawing some lines. I'm doing some short, some long, and it's really just random. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to color it. I'm trying to count it to make it even, but then I ended up counting it wrong, and so it came out not even, so whatever. It's okay. So I'm going to do it like pink, then yellow, then blue, then white. Pink, yellow, blue, white, all the way around. And that's going to be the same pattern that I'm going to do on the inside of the card. And these are just Stampin' Up markers, and I'm just using the brush tip. I'm going to use my 2A glue pen to adhere it to the coordinations, I think it's called, cardstock. And then I'm going to take that piece and I'm going to adhere that to a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch folded cardstock. And you can see the other side was sanded because I changed my mind, and that's why the other side is sanded. Anyway, so I'm going to punch it again so that I get the window. And that's where my owl's going to go. Okay, so when I use my owl punch, I get a little container and I punch all my pieces out so that I can get them out when I'm done easily. So this is just the scallop punch, and I created some wings for my owl. And I went in here and used my 2A glue pen and I colored the whole thing, and then I added this stuff called Sparkle Fluff, and it's like a flock except it's got sparkles in it, and I got it the color of the owl, so I thought it'd be cute. And actually the first time I made this card I used a tape runner with this, and this time I used my 2A glue pen, and it turns out that the tape runner is much better. So you just cover the whole thing with tape, then you put the flock on it, and it comes out a lot more even. So I actually redid it before I took the photo on my blog. And here I'm just showing you how I do the eyes to my owl, and I use a paper piercer to pick up the little pieces. Now I'm putting my wings on. So cute. Okay. This is a piercing mat, and I'm just lining up my owl so that it's centered right there. And I actually measured it just to be sure, just the center of the box. And then I'm going to take my paper piercer and I'm just going to stick it in there. I'm going to test it, make sure it works, and then I just punch the hole. This brad, it's a brad, and it's got a button top, and I really picked it because I wanted it to be a very flat brad. And I used Tombow Bana multi glue because this is really strong glue and you want it to stick. So I punched out another owl, and that's what I put the hole into, and then I just smushed them together. So that way you don't see that the brad is attached. And that's the tricky part. So then you just put it into the hole that you created and you bend it back, and there you go. It's pretty simple. And then my eye fell off. I think it's because there's this bump with that brad in the middle, and it kind of dislodged the eye there, so I put it back on with some Tombow glue. Okay, so the inside is pretty simple. I didn't want to make it too complicated. I just drew a line around the edges just like I did with that front box, and then drew lines and colored them in with the same pattern. And again, randomly, and I thought I was counting it up, and it didn't come out right. I think I have a math problem. Anyway, so this is a Dynamics by My Favorite Things. I believe it is, and it's got some really cute bubbles. So I just put a little bubble in there, and then I took the sentiment from Up, Up, and Away, which is a Stampin' Up! Set, and I used my Stamp-A-Majig to make sure that it lined up just right inside the bubble. And then I'm going to take my flying owl and adhere that one to the top there. And that's it. So here it is again. So you pick it up, you turn it to the side. And I actually added an arrow. I forgot to do that, and I added that before I took the photo, so you can see that on my blog. But there's a little arrow that says turn the owl this way. So go to my blog and you see a picture of how I did that. And that's it. It really was not too hard. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.